Hi, everyone. Welcome to Northeastern's Graduate Open House. We are here from the Graduate School of Professional Accounting, and we're here to do an overview of our MS in Accounting and MS in Accounting MBA programs. My name is Kellyanne Frankel, and I do admissions and recruiting for the Graduate School of Professional Accounting, or the GSPA, as we like to call ourselves. So it's our little acronym that you might hear throughout throughout this presentation. And I'm here with some of our current students.
Hi, so I'm Olivia Cox. I'm originally from Kennebunkport, Maine, and I am an MBA, MSA candidate currently, and going to graduate hopefully in August of 2025. But yeah, I picked the program. I had a really close relationship. I went to Dickinson undergrad, and they had a close relationship with the program, and I got to be closer to home, and I've been loving living in Boston. So yeah, it's been going really well so far.
Hi, I'm Madison Kusamoto. I am in the MSA program, which is for accounting students. I went to Northeastern in my undergrad, and I really chose this program because of the accelerated nature of it. And going into busy season at the start of January, I knew that was something that I was aspiring to do. So this program was like perfect for me in that sense. And also, it's my undergraduate school, so I'm really connected to it.
Hi everyone, my name is Raheem Taylor. I'm from the Bronx, New York, and I did my undergraduate years at Howard University, where I majored in sociology. And I chose Northeastern for my graduate education because they have such a strong nature and commitment to networking and building up professional careers for people looking forward to like the business world in particular. And with this program in accounting, I wanted to solidify my academic foundation for a career, and I felt like Northeastern was the right place to do it at.
Hi, I'm Emma Vecchioli. I'm from Orange County, California. I did my undergrad at University of San Diego, where I majored in finance. And I chose this program. I just found it online, honestly, doing research for grad programs. And I just thought that it was crazy that you could get two of these degrees so quickly at such a great school. And I was ready to try somewhere new, so I decided to pick up and move to Boston.
Excellent. Thank you. A little bit about us. So we are Northeastern University. We are right in the heart of Boston. It's about 72 acres, so there is a bit of a campus feel. We are blocks away from the Museum of Fine Arts. It's a 10 to 15 walk to Fenway Park. We are right between, the orange line and the green line. So you've got the Ruggles Station on one side for the orange line, and you've got on Huntington Avenue, you've got the green line coming by. So, it's campus is very accessible either by the T, by the bus. We have the commuter rail that stops on campus as well. So there, lots of ways to get to and from campus and to and from downtown. Experiential learning is a hallmark of Northeastern University, so it's something that, a lot of our students, the undergrads will go out on co-op, our grad students, our MSA, MBA students will experience experiential learning through their internship. So that program, the MSA MBA, has a 3-month paid internship with a top 5 firm. So we will hear a little bit about that in a few minutes. The GSPA, the Graduate School of Professional Accounting, or as we call ourselves, as I mentioned earlier, the GSPA, is about 60 years old. So we're coming up on our 60th anniversary, which is really exciting. We have over 4,000 alumni just within that network that are just Graduate School of Professional Accounting alumni. So we have 2 programs fall under the Graduate School of Professional Accounting, and that's our 7-month Master of Science in Accounting and our 15-month MS in Accounting MBA program. So here, are the 2 programs side by side. They're very similar, but yet very different for different aspects. So our MS in Accounting, as I said, is a 7-month program. Both programs start one time a year. So it's at that end of May, beginning of June. It's usually the Tuesday after Memorial Day here in the US. So in 2025, the programs will start on May 27th. So you've got the MSA starting in June with the graduation in December. So it's 7 months of continuous courses. It's a very quick timeline, and it is specifically designed for accounting majors. So specifically, students who studied accounting at a US school, because they're prerequisite courses. So for example, US federal income tax, tax, U.S. business law, intermediate accounting 1 and 2 that cover U.S. GAAP. It's very, important that students coming into the program have those prereqs because it is an accelerated program and it really dives deeply into more intense topics right off the bat. So Madison, you are an MSA student. How was it, meeting those prerequisites?
Yeah, so fortunately, if you know ahead of time, I think it is very doable to hit those prerequisites. And luckily, I came from Northeastern, where they kind of the advisors know of the program, so they help to guide you in terms of getting those prereqs. A lot of them you already do as a requirement in your undergrad. So the only two ones that were the hardest, or the three ones that were the hardest to get were audit, tax, and business law. So those are the ones I would just like make sure to keep an eye out on. But if you're already in an accounting degree, you're most likely going to do financial, managerial, and intermediate. So I don't think it was too bad.
Great, great. What was your internship experience like when you were doing your undergrads? Because
Yeah.
sometimes students will come to program already with the MSA students will have an affiliation already with the firm.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did two internships with Deloitte as an audit intern, and I will be returning there full time right after this program, which was again one of the reasons why I decided to do this program because it fit in right in with my timeline and getting 150 credits as well as, being able to start work full time. So I had a really good experience. I think working at Deloitte was a really nice place to work in terms of the facilities and the people, and I learned a lot on the job. So definitely, if you're coming in with internship experience, that's like a great thing. But if you don't have any internship experience, there's lots of people here who can help you network. A lot of professors are like current partners or retired partners, so they can also like give you insight into their industry experience. So I don't think it's necessary, but it's definitely an advantage.
Excellent, thank you. That was a great answer. The MSA is 7 months, starts end of May, beginning of June, has a December graduation. Will prepare you for the CPA exam, gets you to the 150 credit hours that you need to be eligible for the CPA license. And you're entering the workforce in the busy season, which is a great time to be, to be entering the accounting industry because it's definitely hands on deck and the firms are looking for staff. Now, our MS in Accounting MBA program is for non-accounting majors and also for international students that studied outside of the US. So even though, you might be an international student and you studied accounting, it is the preferred pathway, because all of your accounting will be a good base coming into the program because we call it a very academically accelerated, program. So it's 15 months, again, starts at the end of May, beginning of June. I'll bring up the timeline, in the next slide. It's full-time. Both programs are full-time on campus in Boston. Full-time on campus in Boston is the only modality that we offer. So there is no online or no part-time availability for these programs. It's a combined degree where you earn your Master's of Science in Accounting and your MBA. The MBA component is business analytics. It is a very tight curriculum though, so because everything is the courses in both programs, the MSA and the MSA MBA, really are looking at what you're going to need to sit for the CPA exam. So again, this program will prepare you for the CPA exam. It will get you to the 150 credit hours that you need. The 150 is for the licensure. So to be eligible to get that license, which, the firms are really looking, for students to be, CPA eligible in that way, this will get you the 150 credit hours. It also includes a 3-month paid internship during busy season. So that's January, February, and March. So here is the timeline for our MS in Accounting program. Again, you can see it's that summer start, late May, early June. You'll take courses during summer 1 and summer 2. Then you'll have your fall courses. So you'll enter the workforce during busy season. You will choose an audit or tax track. In 2025, the program will be starting on May 27th. This program is F1 visa compliant for international students. So if you were an international student that studied at a U.S. school and were an accounting major, you are eligible to apply. And then you choose audit or tax. So Madison, what track are you taking?
Yeah, so I am on the audit track. And I kind of chose that because I had already had experience in the industry, and kind of knew that was what I wanted to do. I'm also going to be an audit employee in the future, so that just made the most sense for me. But there are people who aren't sure what their track is going to be coming into the program, and the staff here, the teachers really help to, kind of guide you and figure out what your interests are and kind of put you on the best path. So, like, if you don't have an idea of what you want to do, audit or tax, like, you'll definitely have resources to figure that out.
Excellent, thank you. And now this is our program timeline for the MS in Accounting MBA program, and you'll see it's 15 months to complete. So 15 months overall. So that means 12 months of coursework plus 3 months of paid internship. And again, you've got that end of May, beginning of June start, which is a little crazy because with Emma, Olivia, and Raheem, I feel like, I'm sure that probably feels like it was like a lifetime ago when you started on May 28th. These students have just finished up their summer 2 term, and you'll be going into the fall. And then with the fall, we'll be starting with internship interviews, and then your corporate residency will start in January. So I'm just a little curious, for my MSA MBA students here, how has the program been like so far? Has there been any surprises?
I can get the ball rolling on this one. The classes have been going really well. Like Kellyanne said, we just wrapped up our second semester of the summer, which is really exciting, and starting into interviews. And we just wrapped up firm visits as well. But I think it was a little daunting when we were coming into the summer and getting ready for internships, but the program has done really well at getting us prepped. We've done mock interviews. At the firm visits, we've had networking events. We even did networking events at the end of orientation. So I think that really daunting idea of going through and having to interview and meet all of the firms is something that has been definitely eased by the program, and kind of doing classes and doing those things at the same time, with the support of the GSPA. It's definitely been an easier transition than I would have thought coming into it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I was really nervous for our first networking session that we had at the end of orientation. And then to just see like such a difference in how I feel at the firm visits has been, I guess, surprising. I didn't think that nervousness would ever like really go away, but I feel like the more you do it, you get more confident and it just becomes easier and you make more and more connections. So I really love firm visits. I think they're really fun. Um, I think, yeah, nothing else really was too surprising. I feel like I was pretty prepared for um, how rigorous it was going to be. Um, and yeah.
Yeah, I also agree with what Olivia and Emma said. The firm visits do a great job in allowing you to see how much you've grown over the course of the summer. With that, you're able to form connections really well, and you're able to really talk to people like partners or like people in other high-ranking positions in the accounting profession, like in a calm, kind of non-nervous way. And regarding the rigors of the program, I feel that I've grown to adjust to it, and it's kind of like it gets a little tough like early on, but because you're in such a supportive environment with the GSPA staff helping you and your classmates as well, because you get to develop close friendships with everybody, it becomes a supportive environment, and we all just end up wanting to see each other succeed and helping each other out.
I love that. I really do think that like the GSPA is a special place. We are a small staff. Everybody wants to lift students up and make sure that you succeed. Sorry, as I'm pivoting back to the internship. Our students are placed at top 5 firms, and this is just for the MSA MBA. This is the one program that includes the corporate residency at Deloitte, EY, PwC, KPMG, and BDO. There is not an audit or tax track like there is with the MSA program, but going into your internship, students, we do help to coach students, and you would have to decide if you wanted to be on the audit side of the firm or the tax side of, and that's something we do an audit versus tax panel where we bring some alumni in to talk about that. And there's a lot of time to think about that. Meet with Julie Chassé, our director, before you have to decide on. So our applications are open. Applications are online. You can go to demoremckim.northeastern.edu /apply. Two things to keep in mind. November 15th is our first deadline, and it's the only deadline for international students. And for domestic students, there are 3 deadlines. So there's November 15th, February 15th, and April 1st. But November 15th is the only deadline for it. So application details. So this is why everybody's here. You want to, hopefully by now you're excited and you want to apply. You'll apply online. You'll need a personal statement, so an essay. It's 600 to 800 words. And I'm just going to throw this question out to all of you. What was something that you added into your essay?
I can start again on this one. I added just a little anecdote about kind of math when I was younger. Math was always my strong suit when I was young, and I would count the sugar packets at like our local breakfast place with my mom. And just kind of like a funny anecdote about how math has always kind of been a strength of mine, and I wanted to find something that kind of incorporated that, but maybe not to the extent of really crazy calculus and things like that. So kind of connecting that to my newfound love of accounting and kind of how I felt that I kind of found this track was initially from just counting sugar packets at the local restaurant with my mom. So just kind of funny little anecdotes, I think, sometimes grab the reader a little bit and can tell a little story about how you've gotten to where you are now.
Yeah, I think I just talked about my journey on how I kind of ended up wanting to do accounting. And that was through a lot of um, experience and internships that I got really lucky and kind of found my way over to something that I ended up loving more than I thought I would, which was accounting. And yeah, I think it's important to like tell your journey of why you want to be here.
Yeah, I had a similar path. Or like a similar description of my application where I kind of talked a lot about how part of my internship experience was always accounting that I had an issue with, and I really wanted to develop that skill because I wanted to work in the business world. And by doing this program, I'm glad I was able to like really learn how much more like accounting like applies to different areas career-wise. And I'm glad like my goals and original intentions when applying for this program lined up with like how the program actually is.
Yeah, something that I added into my personal statement. I'm originally from Honolulu, Hawaii, and the culture there is a little different than I would say the rest of the United States. So I kind of spoke about how like a lot of people in Hawaii like don't necessarily have strong relationships with bigger companies like the Big Four. Like they tend to gear themselves more towards local like firms. So I kind of spoke about that. I am going to a Big Four firm in the future in Hawaii. So it's kind of unique in that I have that local aspect, but also um want to, continue to work more for a larger corporation. So I spoke about that. And I think like personal stories like that, as well as like Olivia's anecdote, are really what make your personal statement unique. And I think that's like a great aspect to include in your personal statement.
Those are all great examples. Thank you for sharing. When I'm reading applications and essays, those are absolutely things that jump out. So, a personal anecdote, something that's like unique to you, because that essay, that personal statement is really where we kind of get a little bit of we get a little bit of flavor of your personality. So, it's a different side of like the transcripts and the letters of recommendation. Your essay is really, spend some time on that, think about it. It's really a great way for you to shine. So the next thing that we would need for your application is your resume. For students coming right out of undergrad, we know they aren't going to have a ton of full-time work experience. So we totally understand volunteer experience is always good to put on your resume. Obviously, any of your work experience, anything that may show some progression, whether it's an internship, it doesn't have to be in accounting, especially for MSA, MBA, because we know at this point you're coming to us from a non-accounting background. Transcripts. So at this point in time, we just need copies, unofficial copies of your transcripts. So those can be pulled from a student portal if you're still doing your undergrad. Have a copy. If you've graduated and you have a copy, feel free to just upload that as a PDF as part of your application. We will need official transcripts after you've like officially been admitted and enrolled. So usually after your first semester in the program is when you'll be getting a message from me, asking for your official transcript, because at that point we need an official final transcript with your final semester grades and your degree conferral date. 2 letters of recommendation. Those recommendations can be academic or professional. So academic from a faculty member that you've taken courses with is great. An academic advisor, if you've worked with them throughout your undergrad career, that's a good reference as well. Or if you're on a sports team, coach, that's a good reference. Also, professional from a manager or supervisor, so somebody that you've worked for. Coworkers, colleagues, not good recommenders, somebody that's at the same level as you. We really want somebody that you've worked for, that has a good sense of your capabilities. Also, regarding letters of recommendation, we strongly suggest that they come on letterhead. So if it's a professor, the letter comes on letterhead from that school. If it's a manager or supervisor, letterhead from that company. Also, we require that letters of recommendation are not sent from a Gmail account, that they are from the actual recommender's, professional email. Putting this question out again to the panel of students, who are some of the recommenders that you chose and why?
I can start with this one. I chose to do one professional and one academic because I just felt like it was good to do one from each. And I chose a professor I had for business law because I had just like developed a good relationship with her and had done other like certificate programs with her. So I felt like she knew me pretty well. And then I chose my most recent, at the time, internship supervisor because I felt like it was best to do most recent. That was like who had really seen me um, in action at this point in life.
Yeah, I mean, mine were the exact same. I did my accounting professor. I was a business undergrad major. So my accounting professor was really my point person for a lot of questions about kind of what her next steps were after she found accounting. So she really had known me well and had worked with me in academic and kind of more professional settings. And then also just a supervisor from my most recent internship. Because again, it just is a good way to kind of see a more professional side of a student, and not that internships are necessary or make or break. But I think it does add another level of kind of speaking to work ethic and your professional expertise, which I think is always great to add.
Yeah, I ended up choosing 2 professional connections in that they were both my mentors from my previous internship. And I ended up choosing them because they really understood, like Olivia said, they were able to understand like my work ethic along with like my long-term goals career-wise. And I felt like because of that, they were able to have a good gauge of who I am as a person in the workspace and what I want to do. And I feel like they gave a pretty like accurate um representation of myself with their recommendation letter for me.
I also went with one professional and one academic. For my professional recommendation letter was a manager on my team, and it was with my internship. And I think that one was really good because it just highlights like how you work in a professional setting, especially if you already have the accounting experience for the MSA program. And then I got an academic one from a professor who I really liked. It wasn't my most recent teacher. It was just a professor that I like really connected with, really enjoyed the class, and I feel like they were able to depict me in a way that would be attractive to the program.
Excellent. Thank you all. Those are really great examples. Another thing to keep in mind, we are test optional for GMAT and GRE, so you don't have to submit those standardized test scores. It's not an admissions requirement. TOEFL or IELTS, so English proficiency tests, those are required if you are an international student and the language of instruction of your program was not English. So there is, an application fee. If you need a application fee waiver, you can request that. We just request that, you come to one of our online events. We do usually one event a month. It's a great way to meet some of the admission staff, meet some of our current students, get a sense about the program. And I think it's always good to, come to as many of those as possible, just so that like you get in front of us and that we know who you are, because so that by the time, for the MSA MBA, there's interviews as part of that admissions process. By the time the interviews roll around, you've had, contact with us. So, that's some of the requirements for an application fee waiver. And you can certainly email me, set up a time to talk at any time. My email is k.frankel at northeastern.edu, as it's up here on the screen. And so when you go to apply, you could just go to our, you know, apply now page and apply to study on campus. These are some of our deadlines. Again, November 15th, the only deadline for international students. There's also a February 15th and an April 1st deadline. So now I'm going to stop sharing and just, we have a few minutes left and I'm just going to, ask the panel some questions. What's the class size? How's that experience been like? And what types of projects do you work on?
I can start off
Uh,
for the MSA program. So the cohort size is around, I would say like 20 to 30 students. It kind of varies because some students will graduate and some new students will come in throughout your time here. So it really varies, but it's great because you get to meet a ton of new people. And I would say the projects are like a mix of exams as well as group assignments. Semester one for me was very exam heavy, and semester two was very presentation heavy, like almost exclusively presentations. So you get a good mix of both, and you get a good mix of individual work as well as group work, which I think is like very necessary, especially if you're going to go into the audit track, as if you don't know, it's basically all teamwork. So it definitely prepares you in that sense to be able to work with a variety of people in a variety of different ways. And I really like the class size because it's large enough for you to kind of meet people and form connections, but it's also small enough. Like if you need more attention from a teacher, like they'll definitely be there to provide it. So I really like the size, and I think it's very like a great size and a great class.
yeah, in terms of the MSA MBA program, I think currently we're at 53 people. So we have had some classes that are all 50 of us, 53 of us. And then we have had like specifically for our accounting classes, I think we've been split up just because those are a little bit harder classes. So they really want the teacher to like have a smaller group so that we can all ask questions and we all feel like we're getting like the right amount of attention from the professor. I would say it's been a mix of lectures, but I think there's always activities and things that kind of break it up. So it doesn't feel like you're really in a class for that long. It kind of flies by. And then accounting, it's a lot of working through problems, which I like more than lecturing, and I think it's good practice.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much would echo the exact same thing. I think depending on the class that you're in. So we just wrapped up innovation, which is a much more what I would consider like creative space. And so there's a lot more group work, there's a lot more free time to be able to have kind of that creative part of the class, whereas a business analytics is more of a lecture style class because it's very content heavy and similar to accounting. But I think the professors do a good job at being around and being able to support, even though that there's 53 of us, everybody's questions get answered. And I feel like more or less everybody feels like um, they can get the same out of when we're split up and when we're all 53 of us, which is great. So
Yeah, I feel the same way about the class structure. Um, Professors also make themselves really available to you to use as a resource with their office hours, and they're always willing to help out, and they'll also usually respond to their emails pretty well. Um, and regarding the class size, I like it a lot in that we get to spend time with everybody and we get to form connections with everybody because we do a lot of group work. So during those classes where we had everyone together, we always had to like kind of divide and make new friends in terms of like forming groups. And then in terms of our accounting classes, I do, like Emma said, like working through problems because I feel like we learn better that way.
Usually the class size, class sizes for, the MSA are about, 20 to 25 students. And then for MSA MBA, 45 to 50 is really like that sweet spot. A good class, that it's manageable for both, students and faculty. Typical, like what's a typical week like? So, and how much like study, because I get this question a lot when recruiting, when people want to know like, well, how much study time is there? And so I'm just kind of curious for both programs, what's a typical week like and what's you know, the workload?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. For the MSA program, a typical week is for summer one, it'll be 4 times a week. You'll have classes. But in summer two and the fall, you'll only have class 2 times a week, or that's how it is this year. So prepare to have that first semester or that first summer one just be really fast, really accelerated. During that time, I was studying quite frequently just because you kind of are jumping into like a really fast-paced semester. You have exams in week 3 and in week 5, and that's the end of the semester. So it is like something to be prepared for and to know coming into the program that it starts off hard and really fast-paced, but when you like get to summer two and fall, like it'll feel slow, in my opinion. Like I'm really looking forward to that twice a week slow semester. Not that it won't be difficult or challenging, just that it'll be more spread out. And so that's what is something to look forward to and to just know about the program.
I can kind of add to that. I mean, the reality is that we're getting for the MBA, MSA, you're getting 2 degrees in 15 months, and that's a really crazy timeline to be able to do that. And so it definitely is rigorous. We have classes 4 times a week for all of the semesters, and they do a great job at easing us in. We had 2 classes the first semester, we had 3 this semester, we have 5 in the fall. But technically, kind of how it's broken out, it's technically 4 in the fall, given the credits. Um, but I think it is very rigorous. It's an important program, but it's also a very fast-paced program. But again, I think there's a lot of resources. There's a lot of TAs. I know I've visited the TAs. I know a lot of my friends in the cohort have as well. And I am studying every night, but it's also going to feel so good when you get to the internship and don't have to study every night. So it's definitely fast paced, but the reality is that nowhere else can you get 2 degrees in under 2 years. So I think kind of that time investment into classes and making sure that you come out doing well, I think is definitely worth it.
Yeah, also just to kind of add how much time I personally spend studying, I would say that we do have some more off weeks where there isn't as much work, and I think that is an opportunity to, get ahead for the next week so it doesn't all like pile up. So it really is about like how you do your time management. And I've heard from the class above, compare it to like you can treat it like a 9 to 5, where it's like you go to class and then right after you can go to the library and just work till 5 and then like go home and that's that. So I think some people do choose to do it that way. I'm personally, I gotta go home and like be in my own space to study. But I think there are times where I thought it was gonna be a lot worse, and it hasn't, it doesn't feel impossible.
Yeah, I do. One thing I will say about this program, it teaches you how to be proactive with your work balance because you want to be free during certain moments, but because of the workloads and how condensed our schedule is, it kind of forces you to have to work ahead of time, which is a good thing. Like teaches you how to be more thoughtful about your time management. And I feel like, in particularly with the summer part of the MSMBA program, like you end up having a lot of events to do outside of class as well, which you have to think ahead for. Like we have like us having firm visits every Thursday. Um, it teaches you how to be more proactive. It teaches you how to be more thoughtful about your time management skills. And I always enjoy working with my friends after class because always I'm supporting each other, making sure we understand content after classes.
That's great, Raheem, because I really think like study groups help the whole learning process. But I hope that we do a good job of trying to prepare you before you come into the program that yes, it is an academically rigorous, accelerated program, and that we really want to make sure that students know what you're getting yourself into. It is a program that really both programs, the MSA and the MSA MBA, will really set you up on a solid career path. So my final question for the panel is what advice would you give somebody that is interested in your program?
I would say, sorry, I would say reach out as much as you can and try to connect as much as you can. I know Northeastern first came, the GSPA came to Dickinson, my undergrad, my sophomore year, and that was kind of the first time I'd gotten a glimpse into the program. And so from that point, going to other events, reaching out with questions, and just staying in contact, I think is really important. And also reaching out to people that might be in the program or reaching out to GSPA staff to get in contact because I think kind of having those one-on-one conversations or being able to visit campus and tour and having that more engaged presence is also a really good way to kind of see yourself in the program and see what that experience would be like on a more personal level.
Yeah, kind of going off that, I think just knowing that everyone there like really wants you to succeed, and is willing to do like whatever help you need. And it's important, I think, to like not be afraid to ask questions or to say, I need help with this. And also, kind of like Raheem was talking about earlier, just leaning on your classmates a little bit. And there's always going to be someone who like kind of gets a concept a little bit more than you, and just talking to them, and you're really like all in it together. So it doesn't feel like you're by yourself.
Yeah, I would kind of say like as a piece of advice, just be open-minded. You're going to be around a lot of people that are learning with you, and you're also going to be learning new things that may be difficult to you because it's just new to you. And you have to kind of give yourself a level of grace to kind of go through the difficult part of it first to be able to move forward and like develop and like learn your skills as the program goes on. And I also feel like you have to be open-minded with regards to meeting like because this a large part of this program is networking. And with the support of GeoSpace staff, you learn how to develop those skills. So also approach that area in that social environment with like an open mind.
I will say that I think Olivia's advice is something I would also suggest is to reach out to prospective students. I did reach out and I came to, well, I knew Northeastern's campus, but I met with a current student. And that really helped me kind of understand the program like a bit more from their eyes because you really don't know what the program is like. The only people who really know it is the people who've already done it. So it's good to get that insight. And I will say that even though that the program is accelerated, like it is daunting, but it's not doable. Like you will have time to pursue other endeavors and see the city if you're new to it. There's definitely time outside of studying to go out and have social, have a social life as well as an academic one. So that's just because the program is accelerated. Like Raheem said, like if you have proper time management, if you learn to have the proper time management, it's definitely not as scary as it's made out to be.
Can I add one more thing? Just about that is like, please, like, don't be afraid to reach out to alumni or us because the alumni are so helpful. And I think it's because when you leave this program, you're so appreciative of what it's given you that you want to like pass it forward. And so I have gone to the class above us like so many times for advice, and it's not annoying. It's not like a weird thing. It's very like everyone just wants to help each other. So we're always like here for anyone who has questions.
I love that. I think it's definitely, a very um, supportive environment. And I just thank you all for joining me today to talk about the program. Really appreciate it. I think you are great, representatives of both of the cohorts. And thank you again. So thank you everyone for joining. Um, if you have any questions, I'm going to share my screen really quickly and just um, put up our contact info. And thank you all again for coming. I hope to hear from you and look forward to reviewing applications in the future. Thanks again.